Why the hell did Reddit settle on significant other? Like, why is that gotta be the thing we say instead of spouse? Say spouse! Just say whatever is specific to you. Significant other is the longest fucking way to say it. There's so many syllables, it's just a waste of breath. Welcome to People of Reddit today. We're on a very special subreddit called r/justnoMother-in-law. And as a message to my mother-in-law, Dana, if you're watching an edited version of this from VidAngel without the swears in it, then none of these are submitted by me, so just know that. First post of the day, everything's about mother-in-law. Even the death of others. I am furious to be here. So I mentioned yesterday, we've got a frequent complainer of her mother-in-law. So I mentioned yesterday that my grandparent abruptly passed away from COVID this week. I told my husband to let his dad's parents know, as they occasionally keep up with my parents via phone. I asked he not tell his mom, because she always says stupid shit to my mom, and my mom is overwhelmed enough losing a parent, keeping up with phone calls and being in solitary quarantine as she was with my grandparent who died. We're basically waiting to see if she gets sick as well. So anyway, his grandparents had a lovely call with my mom, and I started getting texts from his aunts with condolences. Okay, no big deal. His dad's family is warm and supportive. It's fine that they know. So around 9:15, I get a voicemail from his mom, and I don't listen. She then immediately calls my husband. He sends it to voicemail as well, but he listened to his message on speaker. Basically 2 minutes of, I heard about OP's grandparents from aunt. I called and spoke to OP's mother. You need to call me back. You're not treating me like family. I'm the only one trying here. You'll always be my son, and I'll always love you, but I did nothing to be treated like this. So I texted my mom, because she usually tells me when she hears from the idiot. Yo, she lied about calling my mom. Why? Well, she sounds unstable, so that's probably why. So I decided to listen to my voicemail. 10 seconds. OP, I'm so sorry about your grandparent, but you didn't even tell me they were sick. And that was how it ended. Vomit those people. Your grandpa died, but we haven't talked about me in like 8 seconds. I included this next post because sometimes we need to make fun of Redditors as well. It's entitled, Am I Out of Line or Being Too Sensitive? My husband and I are expecting our first child, and recently I posted our public announcement on Facebook. My mother-in-law has known we were expecting for about 6 weeks, so it's not like she found out via Facebook or anything. My mother-in-law hasn't liked or commented on the post at all, and typically I would give someone the benefit of the doubt, but this woman sits on Facebook all day and has been liking and commenting on lots of other things. Suspicious! Am I out of line to be upset about this? I know it's just Facebook, but I'm honestly hurt that she can take the time to like and comment on a pork chop recipe but can't like a post about her unborn grandchild. That is a tragedy. Your mother-in-law is a bitch. A stone cold bitch. You should leave your husband over that. I think as a rule of thumb, if it ever involves Facebook, then yes, you're being too sensitive. You hold the power here. Hold it over her head. Don't let yourself get walked all over like that. I can't have unliked Facebook posts. One user said, unless there is more history here, I would move on. She may feel like she's already expressed her excitement. Honestly, I don't comment on Facebook if I have already texted or spoken to you. To which OPU replied, there's definitely a history of her being passive-aggressive, especially toward me. It mostly hurts because I think it's unfair to my husband, and I fear for how my son will be treated by his grandmother because she doesn't like me. If there is some passive aggression there, that's the kind of person that you just don't take seriously, so it doesn't matter. If she's being passive-aggressive and wants to hurt you by not liking your Facebook posts, I'm thinking that maybe everything she says you should just laugh at. Our next post wasn't actually about a mother-in-law, but a mother, and user Cold-Blooded Snake was just such a descriptive writer that I had to include it. The case of the vindictive flying laptop, or how my just no mother broke her foot. This is about my hell nah mother. This happened many iPhone versions ago. To premise, I have a just no mother-in-law. She's easy peasy lemon squeezy to deal with because I grew up with a raging narcissistic mom who puts my mother-in-law's shenanigans to shame. I'm on 3.5 years no contact with my momster. So, sigh. Usually if you type out the word sigh, I don't read anything you put next, but you said many iPhone versions ago, so I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt here. Where do I begin? I was sitting in my college sociology class and my phone rings. My professor has a meltdown because he doesn't allow phones in class, and I, seeing my home phone number, excuse myself because I know from previous episodes that when my mother calls, I better answer or else. She is crying her eyes out and screaming at me. Her laptop broke my foot. It broke my foot. You dropped it on my foot and it broke. Come home right now and take me to the doctor. I'm not saying the word literally. I'm skipping that. Redacted. That is what she was screaming at me for a good full minute. It was like a rap song some 5th grader made up to remember an acronym for a science test. I didn't say a word. I hung up and went back to class. After class, my professor gives me a verbal reaming, and I explained to him it was my mother that called and my laptop broke her foot. After he calmed down, he was just as perplexed as I was. I told him frankly that any punishment he could inflict on me for breaking his no phone rule paled in comparison to not answering my mother's phone call since I had to live with her. I finished up my classes and went home like usual. My mother, while the screaming had subsided, was a raging black mass of darkness, as was her big toe. And the plastic corner of my brand new laptop was chipped off. My mother launches into this story about how she was cleaning. To this day, I do not know what she was cleaning, since this was more secret to her than what she would shortly reveal. And my laptop, from the heavens above, fell onto her foot and broke her foot. Ergo, it's my fault for dropping the laptop on her foot. Clearly, I used my vindictive telekinesis miles away at college to will my stuff to attack her. Now that would be a superpower. Firstly, I left my laptop in the middle of my bed, like I always did, and there was no way it was precariously perched anywhere. And secondly, since I did almost all of the housely cleaning, especially my room, there was no reason for her to be cleaning ever. The room's not full of her junk or spotless. After about 2 hours of hearing different versions of this story and cornering her in all of them, she finally let it slip what actually happened. She went to my room in the basement, took my computer, walked up 2 stories, brought it out to the 2nd story deck, and finally, a moment before throwing it off the deck 2 stories up into the yard, it slipped from her hand and dropped straight onto her toe. Bam! Karma. Okay, so most of us shouldn't be surprised that my narcissist mom was trying to destroy my personal property, right? This was a new computer I bought myself, replacing the old worn-out computer my dad had bought me years ago. The reason Momster was trying to destroy my laptop was because I was spending too much time with it. You know, the thing I need for school and work. And she was mad that I used my own hard-earned money to purchase a nice thing not for her, but for myself. Here's those people making it all about them again.
Oh, that's a nice laptop you have. I don't imagine you got anything for me.
To this day, that computer still has a plastic chunk missing, and there's a dent in the wood planking of the deck. And my mother's toe will forever be crooked, just like her soul. I scoured the comments and found OP giving some further information, saying, I am such an unhinged disappointment. You know, I actually called my dad late last night, and we talked about the laptop incident. He was working out of state at the time, but he remembers Cuckoo calling him, screaming at him that I assaulted her by throwing my laptop at her. He said, I didn't think there was an ounce of truth to any of it. Oh my god, I told her, bye. It wasn't until after I got home that I realized she'd actually broke her toe, and I had no idea that the laptop was involved at all. We got a good chuckle out of it. That sounds like a wholly miserable marriage. If your wife calls you up and tells you a story and your first response is to say, yeah, she's probably lying about this, you married a liar. Sounds like you just have another child. Next post is by user The Gogurt Bandit, is entitled, Mother-in-law barges in on me changing, yells at me for my tattoos and piercings. So right off the bat, I have my nipples pierced and a couple hidden tattoos. Most scandalous is an outline of a heart on my ass cheek. My fiance and I were visiting his parents, making sure they were alright, etc. My mother-in-law had a rule that when we arrive, we strip, take a shower, and she'll give us clothes to wear in the house. A little wild, but it's okay. It makes her feel more comfortable. That's weird. I was changing into the clothes she gave me when she walked into the room and saw me butt-ass naked, meaning she saw all my bits and pieces, including the previously mentioned nipple piercings and tattoo on my ass. Instead Instead of acting embarrassed like a normal person, she stood in the open doorway and started berating me, saying how she couldn't believe I had modified my body in this way and how I wasn't a suitable wife for her son. I'm gonna be someone's mother one day and they're going to have to live with their mother being a whore with a tattoo on her butt. You know, preferably, your kids probably will grow up not knowing anything about your butt. My husband, who was in the bathroom, came rushing in and ushered her out, locking the door. When she started telling him I wasn't a suitable wife and how before we met, plenty of men saw those piercings, and he said, she got him while we were together, so probably not, and decided not to deal with her anymore. We left pretty immediately. She'd been blowing up his cell and work phone, talking about how inappropriate I am. Very funny how I'm the inappropriate one when she's the one who stood there gawking at me naked. If I walked in and saw anyone naked, my reaction is, oh god, I'm sorry! Any reaction other than that is like fighting your impulse. User Michael Clarkson 1978 says, I feel for you. I had to train my mom over the years. Every time she called a girlfriend or spouse of mine a whore, I've been through more than one of both, I put her in timeout. Damn, that's crazy. Like, my mom's only called you a whore like once or twice.
Oh my god.
I block all communication with her for an amount of time directly related to how egregious her reaction was. Once I reestablish communications, she is expected to apologize for her actions before any further contact continues. If she pulled what your mother-in-law pulled, she'd be on at least a year of timeout. This honestly sounds like your fault for dating whores. If you'd stop doing that, your mother would stop calling them whores. And our daily winner for trashiest comment goes to user Geeky and Charmed. My mom has her nipples pierced, and when I got mine done, I jokingly got her a matching set. She wears them proudly. Sorry about your mother-in-law. It's your body, and if your husband likes them, that's just a plus. Ew. Mother-daughter matching nipple rings. I bet you guys smoked the same brand of menthols in junior high, too. Well, I hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of crazy mother-in-laws as much as I have. Give me a comment down below telling me about your crazy mother-in-law stories. Make sure to like and subscribe, because I'm sure we'll circle back around to talking about mother-in-laws.
Now I laugh. It's kind of funny how I'd hate myself into submission of some jaded